we're talking about the failure of the Nintendo Switch 2. Not that this system is absolutely flopping.
You just said that the system was a failure. Just for you to go as far to say that it's not like the system is flopping, then which one is it, dummy? I mean, this man is on that J-dub. Oh, it's not like most console gamers don't play on consoles. What kind of logic is this?
People are actually buying the Nintendo Switch 2.
So how is it a failure?
It feels like everybody is only playing and talking about Nintendo Switch 1 games on it, myself included. I mean, I've been playing mine every single night.
So we're going to sit there and act like Mario Kart World don't exist, man. Come on, man. I get it that you're trying to push the agendas because PlayStation 5, or should I say Sony, don't have nothing for you to play on your precious PlayStation 5 besides Xbox games. But don't go as far to say that nobody's buying Switch 2 titles, because they're most definitely buying Mario Kart World. Matter of fact, they bought the Switch 2 just so they can play that game. So what are you blabbering about? Now, if you want to go as far to say that they're not buying third-party games, now that is a huge difference. Okay, we have another Wii U situation. GameStop with another W. I called this. I knew this was going to happen, especially with the game key card situation.
I'm playing mine every single night, but I'm playing stuff like Splatoon 3 or Resident Evil. I'm playing ports and stuff like that.
What about Cyberpunk? Didn't you say you bought that for the Switch too? But yet we don't see it there. Hold on. Don't tell me you didn't buy the game and you did a review on it. Don't sit there and tell me you did that, because that would also mean that what you're doing is fraudulent. And you also bought Bravely Default. So don't come here with this nonsense. You bought a lot of those game key cards. Because if you look back at his previous video as to when he was reviewing the Switch 2, you could see Bravely Default downloading at the top of his right corner, I believe. If you don't believe me, go out there and check out his video.
That run a little bit better. Nobody is buying or playing any Nintendo Switch 2 games. And that's now the official number. We're going to take a look at...
That is a blatant lie, because they're most definitely playing Mario Kart World, which is a Switch 2 title. Now, you can argue with the third-party games, which completely makes sense, because let's be honest, guys, the Switch 2 is by far one of the worst launches I've ever seen in gaming history. It really is, man. Even the PS2 had like 29 games at launch. And I was like, man, the PS2 is actually kind of underrated. Back then we hated it, maybe because the Dreamcast had more games at it at the time when that came out. But man, even the PS2 runs laps around Nintendo Switch 2's launch titles.
Nintendo Switch 2 games posted very low numbers. One third-party publisher characterized the numbers as below our lowest estimates.
I mean, what do you expect, third-party? Bravely Default, a 3DS game, a game that's available on Switch with no upgrade path, no different than the other game that Sega did with Sonic Shadow Generations. Hitman, really? The first Hitman game? Are you kidding me? This is what they thought was going to get people to buy these games, especially when they play far better on other platforms? And the game is not on the cartridge? Like, are you serious? Why would anybody buy these games?
Despite strong hardware sales. Now, historically, this is a very bad sign. If people are buying your console but not your games...
What do you mean? They're buying their games. They're buying Nintendo's games. The same exclusives that you keep telling people that they don't buy on PlayStation.
Much can. I'm not saying it will, but a lot of times it can disincentivize a lot of the game makers.
It just means that less third party will come to the platform. I told you this. GameStop with another W, man. I told you when third party, y'all didn't want to see the writing on the wall with the Switch 1 when the game could be put on the cartridge. You thought things was going to get better. Games are only bigger in size now than they ever been when the Switch 1 was out. And y'all really thought, oh, we're gonna have games on the cartridge. Is that really what you... And Nintendo will be doing the same exact thing once their games can't fit on the cartridge either. They're going as far as 64 gigabytes, which they'll probably end up raising to $100 eventually, which we already can see. And that's it. And then at that point, Nintendo's done with physical media.
They're selling, 10 million consoles, but they're selling 100,000 copies of a game. Companies go, okay, well then just put it on PC, put it on Xbox.
Bro, these games was already available before they even dropped on the Switch. That's another reason why. What would entice me to pick up Hitman for $60, knowing that the game ain't even on it? I don't even think the game's even on the CD, and the game is already available on other platforms. This game has been available for years, bro, it's including this Tetris game. Why would anybody want to pick this crap up?
On PlayStation 5, don't put it on Switch because they're not buying games. And I'm using that as an example because specifically we've been seeing that with the Xbox Series X consoles, where nobody on Xbox, there is about 35 million Xbox consoles sold, I think, but even if there is that many, most games that are on the Xbox sell less than 100,000 copies. I mean, they absolutely...
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. Because they don't have to buy the game. Why would I have to pay for something that's already being offered through my subscription service? Why have to buy a game if I can play it through a monthly subscription service that I'm paying for? Who in the right mind would do that? That's like subscribing to Netflix and still going out there buying movies. Who does that?
Bomb, because the fan base has been trained to get stuff on Game Pass.
But the difference is you can't say that for Nintendo gamers because they still have the same philosophy of Sony, buying the games, and that's what they didn't have. Nintendo didn't say that these games was offered through a subscription service. They chose not to buy the game. The collector didn't want to buy it. And on top of that, these games was already available on other platforms. Second of all, these games have versions on the cartridge on the Switch 1 for that reason. No upgrade path, no nothing. Who would pay for this? This was lazy. All Nintendo did when they made the Switch 2 is thought about themselves. They did the same thing they did with the N64, which is going to bite them in the ass, and they did the same thing with the Wii U. Okay, we don't need third party. They'll buy us for our exclusives. We'll see how long that lasts. Because like I said, we might have a Wii U situation right here.
Really there to buy games. So why is this? It's probably because of the game card key issue. See, the best-selling third-party game, and this is actually by a large margin, is Cyberpunk 2077. They seem to be very afraid of any criticism about the Switch 2. No, it's the best system ever. How dare you insult it? I saw stuff like last night, IGN posted their review saying it's a 7 out of 10. I agree with this. I made some videos saying that, honestly, even though I am playing the Nintendo Switch 2, even though I don't hate the Nintendo Switch 2...
Hold on, you don't hate the Nintendo Switch 2? You made so many videos saying that the system is trash. You heard that? You heard that? Grifting. Hold on.
IGN posted their review saying it's a 7 out of 10. I agree with this. I made some videos saying that, honestly, even though I am playing the Nintendo Switch 2, even though I don't hate the Nintendo Switch 2...
I don't hate the Nintendo Switch 2. Then why did you make all these hateful videos towards it if you don't hate the Nintendo Switch 2? How come you didn't make these videos and just talk about the concerns of the platform that you out here sit there and picked up and playing right now currently? This is why people don't respect content creators in this community, because you guys tell everybody else to do one thing and then you guys do the opposite. There's no authenticity going on here, man. And people are absolutely right in calling this behavior out, because how are you going to go as far to say the Switch 2 is bad, but then you think you have the right to go pick one up while people out here canceling their pre-orders just to make sure you walk out with one at a Target or something? Like, I'm tired of this, bro. Just say you enjoy the platform.
The fact that Mario Kart is the only launch game, I think it's a massive mistake. I truly believe they should have released Donkey Kong Bonanza at the same time. That would have been a much better launch game along with Mario Kart. But all the replies are like...
Well, it's coming on the next month. I mean, you trying to tell me you can't play this game for 1 month until, if anything, that's a lot better than what PlayStation did. Because all you guys got was a Demon's Souls remake and Destruction All-Stars. But yet, and you want to claim that the PS5 was any better. PS5 in a lot of cases was kind of worse. Because they didn't really have like that killer game. It just didn't. Like I've said before, the 360 and the Dreamcast are the systems that had one of the best launches. I would even go as far to throw the PS2 in there. You know, they had good launches. Of course, the 360. I mean, I would even say the PS3 launch was better than the PS5.
They're like, boy, do I disagree. Oh, you reviewed other stuff more positively. Imagine
how you give the PlayStation Portal
the same score as you gave Concord. Okay, I think this signifies the fact that people are bored. Now, what I mean by that is I'm not saying that people are just, leaving this thing there to collect dust. I think it is the fact that people like Mario Kart, but I think it's just that people are hungry to specifically see what's big and new and different. They want
FOMO then.
Actually see, okay, I bought a Nintendo Switch 2 for $500. Show me that $500 graphical leap. But then you look at it and go, wait a minute, I don't want a bunch of digital games. I don't want to buy a freaking CD key in a cart. That's stupid. Look at this. 62% of this is very much blown up in their faces. Now, some people are happy about it. I'm not going to lie. I have seen people like, this is obviously my good buddy Beat 'em Ups. Wood, he has bought
Wasn't he the same dude complaining about the game key card situation, but yet he got every single game key card in his hand? Yeah, okay. So this is why people don't respect y'all, because y'all sit there and say, "Oh, I'm against Nintendo. I'm against what they're doing," and yet you guys do the complete opposite. But even then, even after you did it, nobody else cared because we seen through the rules. That's why nobody picked up those game key cards. The gamers have spoken, and like I said, Nintendo Switch 2, they better be lucky, man. They better get it together, because I'm starting to think that all this is going to be as a better Wii U at this point. Because nobody's going to want to support. I mean, yeah, you might get your Red Dead Redemption 2s, but they ain't going to be on the cartridge. Guarantee that for a fact.
Nintendo Switch launch game. And I watched the video. It's a great video. But it is interesting to me that these are the physical games. Digital game.
Hold on, what are you talking about? Legend of Zelda? Didn't they already came out and said that was on the cartridge? Breath of Wild, didn't they say that game was on the cartridge too? Didn't they come out and say that? Or did you guys lie about that as well? Because it's like what I remember, y'all said that Breath of Wild with the Switch 2 update and Tears of the Kingdom with the Switch 2 update is on the cartridge. Those are the games that he's holding right there on the right side. So what are you talking about? You just said that the game is not on a cartridge.
Card key. This stuff to me, I think sucks. I think it really does signify the fact that it is tainting the hype of the Nintendo Switch 2. Even in the comments, people are like, bro, there are so many hate comments when all you're doing is talking about enjoying the Nintendo Switch.
And there's a reason why he's getting these hate comments, because he even went on Twitter saying that I disagree with the game key cards, but yet he bought every single one.
Because publishers have talked about it. Publishers have talked about the fact that it's not just that making it is easier. It's not just that shipping a key in a box is simpler. It's the fact that it costs them about $4 to put a game card key, and it's about $15 to make an actual physical cartridge. And at this point, they're just trying to cheap out. They're trying to screw you over, which to me...
Really? Because the last time I checked, y'all been screwing over these developers and publishers for a long time. And now that they're deciding to fight back on y'all, now the gaming community want to get in an uproar. Ain't these are the same gamers that bought these games used, and the developers and publishers never got their money in the first place? Ain't y'all the same gamers? I mean, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, man. You guys can get mad at these companies, but then you also have to look at the behavior that you guys do as well. Pirate games and all that. And then you get mad when companies don't respect you?
For a lot of these, just doesn't make sense. These games are done. Like, Street Fighter 6 has already made its money back. Yakuza's made its money back. Sonic has made its money back. Why not, for the heck of it, actually make a physical cartridge that rewards the fans to buy it?
Because why would they give you something? Why would they take a loss on something for you? What are you talking about, bro? That sounds so stupid. You're expecting these companies to take losses on their own property that they're working on for the consumers so you can feel happy about something. Man, get up out of here, man. That's not how business works, man. And all you fanboys talking about, if I was running PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, they would be $1 trillion company. Shut up. Because half you people living with roommates, you people ain't even living with yourself as far as I'm concerned. You're having a problem taking care of even your own damn children. And y'all talk about how you could run Microsoft and Nintendo. And yeah, you know what? You're right. You can run them down to the grave. Okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, you ponies talk about PS5 need to focus on exclusivity. But as time has gone on, we've noticed that exclusivity is not what's helping Sony. So if they even remotely listen to any of you fanboys' advice, all three of these companies would be going downhill. That's facts.
Is going to pay.
I know more than Microsoft. I live with 3 other roommates. I know more. You don't even got your own financial situation taken care of. Ain't you the same dude that asked $16K for your followers because you couldn't pay for it? I mean, Phil Spencer, every time he smiled, that man paid for his own teeth. What are you talking about, Mr. Financial Wannabe Fanboy? I'm going to start calling them Fanboy Financial Advisors. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Off in spades. I've seen so many posts like this. I'm not trying to be down here, but I feel like there's more than enough of that already. But as a video game collector, the game card key situation is really bumming me out. Only 4 of the 26 physical games for the Nintendo Switch 2 are actually on the cart. The rest are game key cards.
Ha ha.
Now, this is actually from 6 days ago. We're going to start to see a pivot, hopefully within the next couple of months, but a lot of times changes like this can take a while. I am hoping we start to get actual physical games.
Oh, and if that's what you hope for, then guess what? The cost of the games is going to go up. So that $100 is not going to be too far off with the way you guys are complaining about. Because I can guarantee you that the only reason why these games was cheap in the first place, because they were game key cards. But if you're expecting, games still another W, just like I've said before, but if you're expecting these companies to take 64 gigabytes of space and stuff it in a cartridge for you just so you can enjoy it on your pathetic little Nintendo Switch 2, well, guess what? Those games gonna skyrocket. $80, $90 to $100. So we'll be there right before you know it, baby.
Maybe it's just me, but I think it's going to help the sales. And honestly, I just...
Support the devs!
That's the thing. I personally buy physical games on Switch specifically because they actually exist. On Xbox, I don't buy physical games. On PS5, I buy some stuff. But if I'm not getting a disc, if I'm just getting a blank disc, a blank cartridge, screw it.
I mean, that's exactly what you're getting on PlayStation because your whole disc drive is tethered to the online. So your PlayStation 5 ain't nothing but a paperweight. It's actually worse than the Xbox because once you synchronize the Xbox, you ain't got to do it no more. But with the PS5, if your disk drive ever breaks in an inevitable future, you can't replace it because you have to do that online sync first with the disk drive. Unlike the console, if you keep your console and you keep it in good condition and you keep it working, I don't know about the disk drive situation because I don't know how they do about that. But I'm just saying, in regards to how Microsoft does it with the syncing of the console, Microsoft does it in a way where they don't want you to get rid of the console. PlayStation does it in a way where they actually don't want you to keep your physical media, because if it's like that on Xbox, let's just hypothetically, that if my system breaks, I can replace it with a disk drive, another one, and it still works, then what Microsoft is doing for video game preservation is far better than what Sony's doing. Because if your disk drives break, let's have to be very specific ones. You got to put the PlayStation one, right? You got to put the one that they got. If you don't put that one, it don't work. DRM, you have to sync it online. You know, screw the initial setup. You have to sync it online every time. Come on, bro. PlayStation 5's DRM is actually worse than Microsoft's. You sync it one time, as long as you're willing enough to keep it, you should be all right. But I don't know about the whole Xbox disk drive. If somebody can find a video of one broken and then it replaced the disk drive and it still works, then that means that the Xbox Series X is far better with physical media than even the PlayStation, even with its initial setup. Even though the PS5 Slim and Pro have that. Because the problem is that it lies within the disk drive. You see what I'm saying? Disk drives, they tear, they wear and tear over time. Do you get what I'm saying? So if these things are happening, and also too, they're very limited. I don't think Sony bombarded a lot of these disk drives. You know what I mean? They only made a certain amount. So if that happens, and you got to sync it online, well, there goes your whole PS5 console. There goes all your PS5 game titles down the toilet. Y'all don't want to look at that in perspective, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, man, take care. Peace out.